Welcome, supers, back to another Shark Tank Tales. I have the absolute pleasure of bringing you two Jersey folks here from the Shark Tank. And before we get started, I need some super claps wherever you are, whatever you're doing right now. Just start clapping. People know you're watching the Super Entrepreneur Show, and I need you to give those super claps up to Super Leslie and Super Greg from SUNFLOW. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. So, we always start out like, what was your relationship with Shark Tank before getting to be on Shark Tank? Did you love watching it? Did you never hear about it? What was your relationship with the show?
I'd say we were huge fans. There's very few episodes we ever missed. And we had heard the name so many times as we had some pop-up stores, as we showed the chair to people. I think that was what 90% of the reaction that we would get would be, have you been on Shark Tank? You guys should be on Shark Tank. So after that, Greg made it happen.
Yeah, you hear it enough and you think, oh, well, that would never be us. We can never get on that show. And we sent, like everyone else, we sent in an application. We had a response. They told us to apply at a later date when they were looking for applicants for this year. We applied, they responded, and it's not an easy process because they have, from what I understand, 40 or 50,000 applicants for 100 spots. So it was video auditions and lots of other steps, which is part of their secret sauce, right? The amazing reality show that people like us love to watch.
So you applied to be on the show and got on in your first time applying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, that's the ding. That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the bell. Well, we're a new business, so it was. I think it was a good time for them to accept us. It's real.
We were only 6 months old when we applied, so there wasn't a year prior to apply. We were brand new.
I find it fascinating that there's so many businesses, and when they come on the show, it's like, yeah, we've existed for so many months or maybe a year to 2 years, and that they were able to get through versus, I mean, there's some businesses that are like, okay, we started in like 2016 or something like that, or it's been, I don't know, for math is power, six years or something like that. But for the most part, I think that that says a lot about the opportunity for new business owners, new businesses to be able to break through and get that opportunity of like mass exposure.
Well, it's just a wonderful way as a new brand, for consumers to discover us, for customers to discover us, because we don't have a big marketing budget, right? We are here in our home. This is our headquarters. We have a handful of people on our team, and we're trying to make sure that people around the country and around the world discover our brand. So to be on Shark Tank as a young company was kind of a dream come true for us.
Well, that's great to hear, because I mean, having that explosive of growth, especially with something that is not that simple to manufacture, be the opposite. Have you found? Well, we'll get to that part towards the end about post Shark Tank, but so having that opportunity, you didn't feel that it was at any point that it was quote unquote too early, because we've had this comment come up a lot in the comments in the super community, like, is it too early? Am I too soon? Because we when we watch the show, and obviously you've watched the show, we've heard that comment a lot, like, you're just a little too early for me. Like, if you had come here like 6 months later, it would have been perfect.
I actually think the timing was really perfect because we had just been in business about 6 months, and it was during COVID. So I think that people really, kind of root for you because everybody was kind of, the underdog. And I think we did a really good job in our first 6 months. As you saw in the episode, we did have a surprisingly overwhelming number of sales when we didn't really expect it. So it was more exciting for us to share that with the Sharks because we're really proud of what we achieved during a pandemic. and in the first 6 months.
Yeah, proud of how the customers responded,
Yeah.
right? Because Leslie had a vision for the product and the brand. We made it happen together, and here we are years later, and the consumers are buying it and enjoying it, right? So I think when companies are on too early, there's amazing products discovered on Shark Tank, but sometimes when you're on Shark Tank and your product hasn't yet, if it's just an idea, if it's just a prototype, that's the episodes we've watched. That seems to be where sharks will sometimes say you're just a little early because the concept hasn't been proven. Fortunately for us, right out of the box, we had an amazing product market fit where consumers really seemed to respond well to what Leslie designed. So it was, and then of course the show airs sometimes many months after you on. We were on the show. It aired 8 months after we filmed, right? So we were actually, by the time it aired, it was spring of this year. So it was perfect timing.
That is perfect. I wonder, I always wonder, like, I know the producers are world class, the editors are world class. If they have, how much insight do they have to do things like that? Like, make it so it's like, this doesn't make sense for winter time. Let's be smart about it and move it so that there's some opportunity for everybody to get a win out, like, for things to make sense.
Yeah. We don't know how exactly they program it, how they pick the episodes, and etc. So we nicely asked, or even said, it would be great if our beach brand was featured in the spring or summer, but they pick because they have hundreds of, they have 100 plus companies they're considering, and not every company that films is on the show. So we were happy with regardless of the slot, but the fact that they aired us in the spring was great because obviously they're holiday items, they're gift items that they probably slot during the holidays. Do you want to add something?
Yeah, I was just saying that they definitely, I mean, they're smart producers. They definitely time everything. During December, we watched so many holiday elf things and, Christmas. It's great.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing.
Definitely want to be shown in the spring, which is what happened. So someone there planned it well.
Was looking out for it. Well, like I said, they're world class, not just producers and editors, but from my understanding, world class people as well, and really care about the businesses that are coming through and wanting to make it so that they, everybody has the best opportunity to get a deal and have a great experience, right? Because I mean, at the end of the day, I think that makes the most sense, right? Like you don't want, and I know that there's people from very early on in the show's life that didn't necessarily have a great experience, and get subscribed because I'm going to be interviewing a couple of those people coming down the pike. But I think ultimately it's better for you to have a great experience and have something positive to say and a positive outcome from it to get more people to be, wanting to interact with the brand, both your brand and Shark Tank brand, down the road, rather than being like, oh yeah, we went on Shark Tank. It was this terrible experience, and they were mean to us, and not the sharks because it's TV, but the people who actually make the show happen. And then they put us on at Christmas time, and it's like nobody's thinking about this beach at Christmas time.
It was every single person we dealt with was amazing, professional, friendly, and we just had the most amazing experience throughout the process.
Yes, that is the experience that I've heard, even going back to those past episodes, way early on seasons. So when how did you go about, you have this business that's budding. I wrote down a couple of different numbers. You had 2.9 million in sales?
That's right.
Is that the right one? Okay, yeah, because I write 2.9, but I don't write the word sales next to to it. So I'm just deciphering my my stuff here. And so you have, which ultimately could also be a deterrent as well, as we've seen. Like, and I know I've had my mind blown a few times where sharks are like, yeah, it's just going too fast. Like, it's just going too fast for you guys. And it's like, okay, but it's going to go fast. Like, you're on the TV show to make it go faster.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah. Well, we always look at how the customer responded. That was 13 months into the business. And we had, as we shared on TV, we had 2.9 million in sales. We had sold uh, over, that represented about 12,000 customers. And that was about 12,000 shares. So yeah, about 10,000 customers. And it was just, for us, it's just the beginning because we're so young, we're so new, we've spent so little on marketing, and customers have to still discover us. So this season, now a year later from filming, people are starting to tell their friends. People are starting to, hopefully this summer, you'll see more and more on the beach. So people will discover us in other ways. But 6 months in, 9 months in, 12 months in, less so, right? There were just not as many of our products that existed out in the world. So we are really humbled by the response. And yeah, too fast or too slow. I mean, we launched during the pandemic as well, which is a whole nother story. But having to launch a business when also worrying about your family and your community, your health, it was a crazy time. So it's such a happy moment that came out of such a challenging time.
I'm sure I would. So when you were putting together your pitch, like, and your valuation, um, walk me through how you were balancing the pitch, with a business that was, running, not walking, or crawling for that matter, at 6 months, 6+ months into it, and trying to figure out, like, how are we going to make this appealing to the sharks, and hopefully walk out with a deal.
Yeah. Well, I can talk about the actual deal we offered. Leslie can talk. Do you want to talk a little bit about how we pitched it?
I mean, I think in general, the numbers are the numbers. So they're not going to ask you the numbers, and we have the numbers, and it shows that people are liking the product. But the kind of the twist was how to make them believe that it's not just a fluke and it just happened once and it's going to go down. We have new products coming, and we've got, we kind of had to make sure that they knew that it wasn't just a chair. It's more of a brand. So that was more of the message that we wanted to get across. Of course, we wanted to get the wow factor of the chair, but that's only the beginning. So we have more products coming. And I mean, SUNFLOW doesn't mean it's not SUNFLOW chair brand. It's literally SUNFLOW. So it could be technically anything under the sun.
Pun intended.
We're focusing on the beach right now because we love it, and it's kind of a really sexy category for us. And we're kind of, everything's beach related at the moment, but it doesn't mean that so many other things can come from the brand. So that's kind of like that was the trick for us, I think, because we've watched the show so many times that they don't want to think it's a one hit, like a one-hit wonder. So.
And with regard to the dollar amount, we're growing quickly and we're ambitious. We want to make sure people can discover us in many places, right? So we want to do more marketing. We want to have more distribution. We want to expand. We've already expanded into Australia and Europe. So to go on the show and make a small ask with such big hopes just didn't seem to align. So we said, what would be a big ask? And to be able to say $1 million. We're from Short Hills and we're seeking $1 million. To us, that was a big ask, and it was audacious and makes people sit up in their seat. And then it makes them ask, what are the numbers? Does it support it? And fortunately, the Sharks felt it was supported, and we ended up with several offers.
I mean, you get the obligatory Robert wow
Yeah.
every gosh darn time. It is. I mean, it is a bold strategy, right? Because, not to quote the dodgeball movie, but it is a bold strategy because you have to walk out. Not everybody realizes it, but you have to walk out with that amount of money. The percentage and the structure and everything can change, and $1 million is, even to them, is a lot of money to justify in an investment and things like that. And I think that's. But hey, you get one shot, and I think being able to put it in a perspective of $1 million, I think it is pretty cool, regardless of if it was gonna potentially work out or not.
Well, we'll tell you a secret, but only you and only the viewers can know this. which we've actually never told anyone. And Leslie's wondering what's the
What?
secret I'll be disclosing. And you'll remember after I say it. We left for the airport at 4:30 in the morning when we were flying from New Jersey to Los Angeles to film. Up until 10 o'clock the night before, and for the months preceding, we were planning to ask for $500,000. At 10 o'clock the night before, we said, let's go big. So it was actually a last hours leading up, we changed our mind and went bigger. So that's the first time we've ever told anyone. So there you go. It's an exclusive here.
Well, thank you for that. You know what? I think long-term, big picture, you know, the show gets replayed on CNBC like a ton, right? So the odds are your episode's gonna get replayed at some point, right? And at that point, it's also a little more memorable. So like even regardless of how things worked out for you in the tank, after the tank, the episode is forever, right? And it's not like you didn't have the sales to support. You weren't walking in for $1 million and saying, well, you know, we have this concept here that I 3D printed in like 6 days of my, you know, 3D these big, you know, somewhat commercial 3D printers, and it's gonna sell. It's gonna be the biggest thing ever. You're all gonna be sitting in SUNFLOW chairs next season here. I'm telling you, it's gonna be huge. Like you already had sales, so you had something to back it up with. But you know, like I said, at the end of the day, it is tough because they, you know, I mean they balk at like anything over 400,000 is like whoa, like wow, you know, Roberts, wow. So it definitely is a bold strategy. So let's go. You're flying, you're flying to LA. You're getting there to, you know, get to the studio, and you're walking down that hallway. How are you feeling? How are you feeling? Confident? Are you worried? What's
You know,
going through your minds?
we just talked about this last night. It was probably that walk down that hallway was probably the scariest part because it was, you know, you've seen it on TV 100, you know, thousands of times. And I just, you know, it was more, they didn't play the music, but I think we both heard it when we were walking in our heads. And somebody actually asked us, I heard that the hallway gets smaller as you get closer to the door. And I said, it doesn't, but maybe people see it that way because you're, you know, that's the moment of truth when you kind of walking through the doors. But after that, I really think, to your point, the sharks and everybody, they're so nice and they get how nervous people are. They're just smiling and, you know, kind of wait, you know, just supporting you and saying, don't worry about it. You got it. They're like your biggest cheerleaders because that's, everybody knows that's probably the most nerve wracking moment. But after that, I feel like it was supernatural. It was almost a conversation like we're having, but just a lot more people coming at you at once.
And they're very, they come across very, they are very supportive, and it is very happy, and they are very friendly. They don't literally say, we've got you, because it's fully unscripted. It's actually, the cameras are running. So they make you feel that way. But it is no second takes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is no second takes. And you know, that's part of the mastery of the show, you know, is being able to set such a situation up that and have enough cameras and enough you know, everything, drama and just everything going in pushing in that one direction, that you don't need to do multiple takes. You don't need to do, you know, aside from the B-roll that they shoot when you walk out, like that's it, right? Like that's what they need to be able to fill in the gaps when they're doing the editing, because they are, again, world-class editors over there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you know that you know, we weren't in there for 8 minutes.
Oh yeah, obviously, yes.
Way longer, and people are surprised by that when we tell people about it. They're like, "You were?" I always wonder how they get so much information, but you know, you're in there for a while, and they really, not that they get to know you, but you know, we're kind of guiding what we want them to hear, and they're really asking the questions to let us tell them our story. So it's really, it's like a synergy. You're kind of working together.
And if you're wondering how long, it's basically until all the sharks are out or you get a deal. It can be, it can be 10 minutes, but it's usually not.
Yeah.
I think the shortest I've heard it was like 15 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was, and they got a deal. I forget who it was that was on the show. Yeah, it was very, very short, very, very short. But most of them are 45 minutes to, I've heard, as long as an hour and a half, 2 hours. I know Dino Don was in there for over like 2 hours because he's like the first hour they just asked dinosaur questions.
That was a funny idea. That was
Yeah,
they
that
had
was a good
they had
one.
a great prop.
No, we were in there for well over an hour.
I think they sold that dinosaur to one of the sharks. Did Mark Cuban buy this?
No, I feel like Damon.
I know they were asking what the cost is. I mean, and once that episode aired, they added to their website to be able to go and buy yourself your own dinosaur. Which, I remember I did the episode with Larry Roberts together, and we were talking like, well, what would it cost? Like, how much could you rent this for parties? Like, if I bought like 3 velociraptors and like put them in a trailer and you bring them out with like a couple bushes or something, and like you got your own dinosaur adventure in the backyard, like how much could you get for that experience?
I don't know, probably not enough.
Probably not. I mean, yeah, those are very expensive dinosaurs, so probably not.
It's expensive. We can tell you that because we ship all of our SUNFLOW chairs free to customers. So shipping is expensive. I'm sure shipping 3 dinosaurs is very expensive.
Oh yes, definitely. So when you guys are in there, did you have a shark in mind that you wanted to or sharks in mind that you were looking to get a deal with?
But we won't tell you the inner chamber discussions, but the reality is we wanted all the sharks. How cool would that be?
I mean, that's what everybody wants, I guess,
sharks.
all of them.
It's probably pretty complicated because they're investing their own money. But we really wanted all of the sharks because all of them have very different experiences. So there's really not a shark that can't help in some way. And if you have more sharks, you have more help.
But in reality, we knew we wouldn't get all the 5 sharks because we were offering for 6%. Even having watched the show, which shark accepts 1% each? There's just no way.
Yeah.
So, but it is what it is.
You'll have to watch the episode again and guess which sharks we were targeting.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Get some more views. I'll be linking it over here at the end of the video, so for you to go and watch, and it's also in the description below, so you can if you want to pause this and go watch it over there, you're more than welcome to go do that. Having all the sharks would have been cool, but you would have definitely had to have given up way more than 6% to make that a reality. But I could see where that makes sense in, like, we're going to go in, we're going to ask for $1 million to, if you get 3 or 4 sharks that are interested, all of a sudden it's like, okay, it's 250,000. You're giving up a higher percentage, but you get to work with, 4 different sharks. I don't want to say which ones because, whatever. But the point being is you get, you're getting 4 different looks at that point, or 5 different looks, or even 3 different looks, and they're obviously they're more willing to do that deal than like the $1 million for 6%, or even anywhere close to that. So the negotiations between you and Kevin going back and forth was a lot of fun to watch. And
maybe fun for you.
Well,
I was
skewering him up there.
I had the camera in my face. It was that was nerve-wracking. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. You go ahead. So I mean, Kevin offered you $1 million for 4%. I believe that was his first offer. With he wanted $5 per chair, I believe, or something to that effect.
That's right. He wanted to receive $5 a chair until we repaid him $2 million, and at the conclusion of paying back $2 million, he would own 4%. That was his first offer.
Yes, and that so did you go in thinking about a royalty deal at all?
We didn't think that. It's hard. A royalty is hard to contemplate ahead of time, right? Because you can contemplate valuation, but a royalty can be structured in any way. So actually, when he suggested that royalty, I asked him if we could have some more time to process that because we hadn't actually contemplated that structure. And he said, okay. And but in my mind, I was thinking that was actually fairly generous. I thought it was a pretty good deal to offer us to only own 4% of the company. But of course, paying back $2 million also seemed a bit arduous. So it was so part of the deal was okay, was good, and part of the deal we didn't like. So, but the fact that there was good and bad, it felt like there was there was a way to get to a deal.
I when I think about it, I mean that's a lot of chairs to sell. To get $2 million out from $5 per chair, and could potentially take a long time to get paid back just to get the 4%. And to me, I mean, you hear them say it so often that I'm not gonna get out of bed for 4% or 3%, like you were saying. Like I'm not gonna do a 1% deal. Um, it says to me like once that 2 million is returned, like is it really that important to like is it going to be that high on his radar to make sure that he's helping help guide the ship and stuff of that nature. He's not.
If he gets his $2 million back, we're doing pretty well. And that 4% could really be worth something. I'd actually at that point be really excited.
But Joe, the 4% ends up being very valuable, but so we can't know what he's thinking, but from what we're thinking is that as you said, it would take a long time. We would be paying that royalty for a long time. And I really did want him to feel like a partner. So really what you're saying is exactly what we were thinking. If we double his money, then he's already doubled his money. If we're repaying him the royalty just until he recoups it, he hasn't made any money yet. So he still wants to help us with the additional percentage he owns. We didn't agree to that deal, but the structure works if we could move some of the numbers around, which is what we did.
No, Leslie, I mean, you bring up a great point, right? At that point, you are doing really, really well. But the thing is you don't know how long it's gonna. I mean, that's a lot of $300 chairs to sell, right? To me, that's where like I'm like, oh, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna start selling some $3,000 chairs. We'll get some Swarovski crystals or some nonsense thing that people are really into. We're gonna put it on there, and they're gonna buy it for $3,000 because crystals. Meanwhile, the crystals are the sun's hitting the crystals, blinding people around them. They don't care. It's not their problem. It's not their eyes. They got they're in the chair. They're not getting blinded by it. But something to that effect. I mean that would be but even at $3,000, still a lot of chairs that
marketing and PR, there's so much that we can do at this point, and to that point we could come out with some crazy high-end chair just for marketing. We've made like probably 50 of them, right?
Maybe one goes,
and end up gifting them.
Maybe one goes to auction with with crystals.
Yeah, but it really, to the core of the products and the brand, it really needs to be products that people can buy and are willing to spend for. I mean, I remember your reaction. You were like, "Whoa," and it does shock people. But then when you look at what else is out there, I feel like if you really care, it's really worth it.
Oh yeah. And I think I said that in the reaction video that like I'm not my wife's a beach person, but she doesn't even get to go that often, right? So like if we had the beach house, or if we were spending at least 2 weeks, at the beach a year, $300 a chair is really not. It's really not that much money because you're spending a ton of money to be at the beach. I mean, you live in Jersey, we go to Ocean City, New Jersey. So it's not cheap to rent down there in the summertime. So I don't think that's bad. And even when you compare it to I think like a Tommy Bahama chair, which is like $80 to $100 or something like that, which I mean to me is still pretty expensive. Because again, I'm not that target market. I think that you're not getting the kind of functionality that you're getting with your chair at that point, right? So you're not really comparing like apples to apples at that point. It's different types of apples, at that point.
The great thing is people have choices, and for us, and by the way, the chair is $198, but
that's right, with the accessories.
The accessories are optional. Most people do buy some or all the accessories. It's really I think of it similar, as you said, if you're at the beach for a few weeks, is it worth the investment? I think of it similar to skiing, If you ski a week a year, you consider yourself a skier, and you might buy $1,000 worth of ski equipment.
But they'll use it.
And you'll use it each year you go, and you'll be happy you have great equipment that satisfies all of your needs. Same thing with camping. You may not have a chance to camp all year long, but when you do go, you want to have camping gear that really serves its purpose. So we think of that. People care about the outdoors. They care about their work-life balance. So if you are going to spend a few weeks at the beach, those weekends, the beach house, or just driving every weekend, having a chair that protects you from the sun, that protects your mobile device,
And looks good.
and it's beautiful. So,
And Mila, thanks for the compliment, by the way. That was like a little side hand compliment that they're not the same. And that's kind of why like totally when we were designing this and we wanted to make something better for the beach, I could have just put prettier fabric on your Tommy Bahama frame, that kind of thing. But it became let's reinvent it. I mean, if we're really gonna make people step up and kind of separate those people who care and want to spend more, then let's completely reinvent it. So that was 3 years before we launched. We might have complicated it for ourselves a little bit, but I think it was worth it in the end, just for that, what you just said.
Yeah, well, yeah, because look, it's not enough to be better. You have to be different, and I don't think that it's I mean, anybody that's going for the Tommy Bahama is probably going for the name at that point. Like, it's not. I don't see the. I'm not that person. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just not that customer. But I think that form and functionality are two big things for me, at least whenever I make any kind of decision. And to me, if I have that functionality, if I get the protection, I get an ease of carrying, like all those things, like you can fold all that into, waka waka, fold that into the price of, like, okay, you're right, at $198, and then get the accessories to to get it to the $300 price point. But I at that point, I think if you're going to use it, you should upgrade to just get the, as long as you're going to feel like you're going to use those accessories, you probably should jump in and get it. And that's not just me being nice about like that, but I mean that in general, like cars, it doesn't matter like what you're buying. Like, if you're going to buy it and you're going to actually use it, don't worry about the extra price, because you're using it, and every time you use it, when you split it out amongst the minutes and hours and you cost average it like that, it's like, okay, like here's a perfect example. We have a theater room here, and I was thinking about getting a new projector. That projector is $4,000, and I was like, but we watch like 3 to 5 movies a week in that room. So I'm like, when you cost average that out, it's like, well, even if we just did 3, it's like $25 per movie. Well, you can't really go to the movie theater and be able to pause the movie and go to the bathroom, get your own popcorn, and come back and just have it just be you for $25, a movie, or you and 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 other people. So, I'm like, does it make sense? I don't know, maybe.
And also, it's not as if I'm not saying our product's better. It's different, and that's what you kind of pointed out. It's it's a completely different product. You can't compare them; they're different. So everybody's got choices, like Greg said, and we just hope a lot of people choose ours.
Absolutely. I think that they keep. I mean, the entrepreneur gurus out there keep hammering, it's not enough to be better. You got to be different, right? You got to stand out in a way that isn't just we're a better pen, we're a better this or better that. Like you have to be different to be able to stand out and make people pay attention. So when it came to Kevin and you, Greg, going back and forth, obviously that didn't happen within seconds of all at once, but you guys felt comfortable. I mean, I was impressed that Kevin took that deal on what was the final was 5% with a $1 million payback, right?
Right.
Was it $3 per chair?
$5 per chair, but paying $1 million. So he would receive back, over the course of sales of $5 per chair, he would receive back $5 per chair until he recouped the $1 million he invested. So basically, we would sell 200,000 shares to repay him that $1 million. And at the end, throughout, and at the end, he would still own was the final number that we agreed upon. He said 6%, and if you recall, or you could watch again, he offered $2 million at 4% ownership. He wanted to be repaid $2 million.
Oh, right.
Yeah, not invest.
Right.
Repaid $2 million and have 4% ownership at the end. We came back and said 4% ownership. I know initially 4%, and repay back. We'll pay back $1 million, and we ended up. He said, if you can get me to 6%, and then we countered and said 5% with the $1 million, and we reached a deal.
He was in a zone.
Yeah, well, clearly, and you know, look, I mean, Kevin doesn't usually negotiate that hard back and forth like that, and it was impressive to, if nothing else, to see that experience play out. Because, like I said, he doesn't generally do that. It's this is what it is, and you know, maybe he'll change the structure. Like, oh, it was a normal deal, now it's a royalty deal, but not to counter back and forth like that, and forfeit $1 million in the process, which isn't, that's no small feat.
And I actually thought it was super interesting because, you know, again, this is embarrassing how much I've seen the show, but just, I guess he was the last shark. He usually plays that up to his advantage, and he was really reasonable, and it was.
Yeah, we were really pleased the way it worked.
It was great.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, that, well, and it definitely paid off. He didn't get offended, and you guys walked out of there with a deal. So, when you walking out of the tank, how were you feeling? What were you thinking? What was your next steps?
Well, if you see the end of the episode, you see us hugging, and we are just. It's pretty stressful in the tank, and you walk in not knowing what will happen, and even while you're there, you are just, you know, as you see on TV, all 5 sharks are firing questions at you and vying for your answers, and to walk out with a successful outcome after practicing and preparing and everything else that goes into it. For me, it was exhilarating. For Leslie,
that was pretty exciting. It was very surreal.
Yeah.
You don't really think it happened. And then we had COVID after.
We had
you had COVID happening, the pandemic.
I thought you were saying like we walked out and turns out we actually were positive.
We did not catch COVID.
No, so they test and test and test. They're really, really cautious. And then after, you see us hugging in the thing. We were asking permission. Can we hug? Because, you know, they're really far apart and everything is really safe. We test before, we test after, we test during. It was like crazy.
It was I mean, it's still better this season than last season, where you actually had the 10 days of isolation effectively in a hotel room before getting to go pitch. So you guys lucked out in that regard to not have to go and do that. So you get back to Jersey. What's next steps? I mean, obviously you don't know when you're going to, and if your episode's going to air, which is, I mean, to me, has to be almost as nerve-wracking as all the preparation and everything and getting into the tank and all that, because, you know, it's like, do we scale up? How much do we scale up? What do we, you know, I know that somebody was telling me that they do give, apparently they give some kind of numbers that like, oh, you know, this is what you could typically expect in sales, but every business is different. Every product is different industry, different, like, I'm going to go buy this today versus, you know, it's like, it's different if we're talking about socks versus, you know, a $200 chair versus a VR experience, you know, the kind of thing. So it's every business is different. What was your guys' next step once you got back?
I can talk about how it felt. You can talk about how it felt. When we came back, just so you know, we couldn't tell anybody. It was crazy. Only 2 people besides us that knew were our 2 daughters. And then for months, nothing. And I kept saying to Greg, if we don't air, it's like it never happened, because we have no proof of being there. You know, they don't want any cameras or phones on, you know, on the set and things like that. So it'll just be us knowing, and then we'll never be on the air. It was very weird to think about it, but Greg and I decided after we left, the deal was, we got the deal on the show. Couldn't tell anybody. If we air or we don't air, because you never know. We were happy with our result, and we were really proud of what we did in the tank, and that's how we had to walk away. And that's how we made it through the next few months before we found out.
And then with regard to how to prepare for with growth and inventory, it's really hard, right? Because you just have no idea when millions of people watch the show, how many orders you will have. And for us, we were a really young company and with limited resources, so we just had to plan that we would be growing significantly this year and order inventory, but not order so much that if we didn't grow as much, we'd be at risk, but order enough that if there was a big Shark Tank bump, that we would be able to satisfy customers. We want to make sure people don't get frustrated. What could be worse than having this new brand, customers discover it, and then they can't buy it, right? So we really had to balance that. So we ended up buying more inventory, expecting to grow this year. And fortunately, when a lot of new customers did discover us, because there was a big Shark Tank bump for us, we were able to satisfy all those orders as quickly as we could. We had all of us in the warehouse filling orders for quite a while.
Oh, I love that. The thought that came to my mind, Leslie, when you were explaining like it never happened, Twilight Zone, and how did it happen? Did we just get gaslight? Like, are we all gaslit here? Like, I don't know. Like,
could you imagine? Could you imagine? We literally went and taped, and nobody knew ever. And if we talked about it, I got no proof.
when the teaser for the show came out, they had clips from different episodes, different companies that were pitching, and we were one of the clips. But it's literally about a half a second,
right.
And we were, we at that point we were told we have permission to confirm that we are in the clip. That's it. And it doesn't mean you're going to be on the show. So so at least we were able to confirm, if anyone asked, that
nobody asked, because it was half a second, but
right.
We saw it.
There was at least some history, some record, if all else failed.
Are you referring to like the first episode of the season?
Like a teaser. You know when they do a commercial?
They have a season.
Oh, okay.
They have the season teaser, and they show that I think at the beginning of.
It was like literally half a second of us hugging, and we're like, look, there's us, and we had to run through it. We had to freeze it to be like, look, there we are.
Yeah, no.
So then you were allowed to tell people that you were actually on the show?
We could only confirm that we were in the teaser.
That's it.
Right, because you're not on the show for sure. They still have to program you in, or they don't have to program you in. So it's because we have to keep it. It's a reality show. We have to keep the fact that we filmed and we're on the show a secret. But now it's in public, a clip of us. So they said we can confirm that it's us, which is, if anyone asks, no one asked.
No one asked. We're hoping.
Well, when I think about that kind of stuff, it's hard. Like, how old are your daughters?
20 and 18.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if they were like young, or something. It's like they go to school, they say something, and then
they were. We're talking many, many months of not a word.
Oh wow. No, it definitely has to be nerve-wracking, not knowing if you're going to be able to be on the show. Like I said, the inventory thing, and then so once you got the confirmation, because you get like 3 weeks or so before the show airs, did you guys have a watch party? What was the game plan there?
It was great. Our daughters actually planned the watch party, and it was so much fun. They got sharks, and we were little wine glasses with a shark, and it was really cute. We put a shark on the door. And we had some friends come over. But the best part was that, like we said, we're very good secret keepers. Nobody in the room knew the outcome except for the four of us.
Yeah.
So the commercial break before, everybody's like, what's happening? What's going to happen? It was actually it was fun.
More fun, more dramatic that way, right?
It is. Well, it's all for the drama, for the story, for to keep people glued to watch those sponsor spots and and get to the other side. It's a masterful aspect of the show for that they perform week after week after week. And speaking to the not knowing if you're going to air, I know it was last season that there was an episode from season 11 that made it into season 12, and they had in the beginning they said like this was filmed before COVID times and blah blah blah. I think it was like I forget which episode number specifically, but it's just weird because you see all the sharks together like all of a sudden for one episode, and then so like, and if that's the case, like you just don't know, like it could be maybe you air the next season or something like that.
All I can think about when you told me that, when you just said that, is how bad I feel for those people in that episode. They waited the whole season past.
But at least they
and
aired.
they still didn't know.
But
Oh my
they
gosh,
still-
I feel so bad.
Yeah, they didn't.
Crazy.
That it is one of the most stressful pieces of it. So so before we were filming for recording this interview, you guys had said that a lot of people had reached out to you about finding my video.
Right. So this is just right after it aired. We were all really excited. Everyone to see it again. You can't see it again unless you have it at DVR'd, because we don't have your setup. So everybody, all of our friends, would Google it, Sunflow, Shark Tank, and the only thing that came up was Joe. I'm telling you, every single person said, "Oh, I couldn't find your video or the episode, but I could find this guy Joe," and he gave commentary, and they're like, "I liked his commentary," and it was really people kind of critiqued your commentary, saying because it looked like you were a shark. It'd be their reactions and your reaction. It was
Yeah. It
so it was great. It was
we liked
spot on. Good.
Yeah, and you're a Jersey guy, which is even better.
Absolutely. No, that is one of the things. Like we were talking before about how I go about doing this. Like I sacrifice my Friday nights during Shark Tank season in order to make that happen. I don't spend Thursday night is our Friday nights. So we spend time on Thursday night together, and then Friday night I'm in here for 3 hours. So much so that there was a video. So this past week's episode, somebody was like, "What's wrong with your eyes?" Because like I guess I was staring at the screen, and my like so I'm like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "Do I have like a stroke or something?" Don't remember. I showed it to my wife, and she's like, Joe, you realize that this is 11 o'clock at night. You woke up at like 5:30 in the morning, and you've been staring at a computer screen for 3 hours, right? Like, of course, your eyes are going to be a little like drifty at that point. Like, I was like, "Oh, I had no idea."
It works literally right after the show. There you are, and it's great.
I think it streams on Hulu for a few weeks, but they don't have the full season, I guess, until the following year.
And yours is like right to the point. If people want to see the SUNFLOW Shark Tank, it's like right there, and you got someone commentating.
And not everyone.
They can skip past me. I try not to talk over the stuff. I mean, I know people ask like, "Oh, can you put in timestamps?" I'm like, dude, I was up for like 4 hours on a Friday night doing this. Like, you think I'm going to sit around to try to do timestamps of the time in which I'm just trying to get the thing onto YouTube, because it's not that easy to get past the copyright bot to begin with. Okay. So, beggars and choosers. I don't know, but that's the internet for you. So no, that's awesome that people pointed out. I know that seems to be the common theme, is like people find the episode and then their content, because I don't reach out to pretty much anybody at this point. They all come to me because I got the episode online and we're here and we're gonna have a good time when we have an interview, right? So that I think it's important that and building the community, meeting those expectations, and again having a good time and having something positive to say, because like, you guys are real. You're not playing characters on the TV show, right? Like, you're real. The business is real. Like, it's real hopes, it's real dreams, it's real money, it's real opportunity. And I think that, because I know I get a lot of flack sometimes for like being, "Oh, you're too nice," though. Everybody that comes in, it's like, these are real people. This isn't TV to me. These are real people.
That's us. We're just our daughters were our stand-in sharks when we were preparing, right? Our teenage daughters. We practiced in our basement, and we work out of our
in
home.
quarantine. Yeah,
And
it's
we
a
work
family
out of-
business.
Yeah,
For
so
sure.
this
We're
isn't-
real people. Don't worry, Joe.
We're
Not many.
we're not a big mean corporation. We are small family business.
And another thing that's great about this show in particular, it's real people starting real businesses, which everyone kind of hopes and dreams to always do. But everybody walks into that tank is the underdog, which is what I mentioned before. You kind of root for them. Right when they walk in, you feel like, oh, that could be me. Or, I thought of that, or I could have done that. And it just makes you feel like you've got everybody on your side.
Yeah.
Right when you walk in. So if you mess up or whatever, it's okay.
And it's sad. It's sad to see people when it seems it doesn't work out, and they get very emotional. It's sad. It's because you build up in your mind how this could change your business and change your life. And if it doesn't work out for someone on the show, it's especially being on the show, you really feel the empathy.
Feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I know that's why they have a psychologist right after you get off, because regardless if you get a deal or not, somebody probably said something that didn't rub you the right way, and it creates can create a vacuum of like, of self-doubt. I mean, look, we're entrepreneurs, right? So we deal with that kind of stuff all the time. Self-doubt and the mental roller coaster of like, is this working? Is it not working? The great days we're having awesome sales, then the days where no sales are coming in and no one wants to answer our call, and everybody's doing out to lunch. So speaking to that, so after the show aired, so your deal with Kevin, would you like to elaborate?
Sure. So as your viewers probably know, when you do a deal on Shark Tank, they only see you for half hour, an hour. You shake hands if you get a deal. But just like in the real world, there's more work that has to happen after for the two parties to come together. And in our case, we spend, and it's a large amount of money, right? So we spend time with Kevin's team and try to work through all the legal and financial moving parts. For $1 million, a lot of parts. And sometimes those deals come together that you see happen during the airing, and sometimes they don't. In our case, we did not end up moving forward and we're not allowed to talk about the negotiation that happens after, but it was an amazing experience. We didn't reach a final agreement after the show, but the happy ending is we have other investors, some amazing investors that are so excited about our business. Instead of raising $1 million, we ended up raising $3.5 million, which allows us, which really allows us to produce more inventory, to do more marketing, to make sure people can find us in more places. So it was really, we would have loved to come to reach fruition, but fortunately, and most importantly, we were able to continue to grow the company and have Leslie's original vision come to reality.
That is awesome. Like, hey, I'm very much in the camp of everything happens for a reason, and I think that it's, you didn't get the deal with Kevin. It's okay. You still got the Shark Tank. I always err on the side of go in trying to get a deal because that's what's going to replay on TV for like forever and always. For years and years and years to come, right? And that's what's going to stick in people's minds, even if the deal doesn't come. And as you said, it's not just because, it might not just be because the Sharks, idea of what the deal should be. Sometimes their idea of what the deal changes, as well as, what the business now is worth. It doesn't necessarily meet to what their deal was because, hey, 9 months went by. Like, things continue to change and evolve. And it doesn't always mean that it's going to be the right fit when it takes that long to make it happen. So, good on you for sticking to your guns, and then you get rewarded with what, $3.5 million in investment money. Like that's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, it was, we have to stick to our guns. As you said, having the right alignment with your partner, it has to feel right. It's a lot of money. It's a big investment. It's a big commitment. And for whatever reason, if it doesn't feel right, fortunately for us, our dreams could still come true with other partners that align in completely. So yeah, it's a incredible experience.
And I think that that makes a lot of sense because of the vision that you, Leslie, have for the company going forward. That in this case, the money isn't necessarily what's going to get you there, because obviously you already have sales, you have legs to move, right? It's having the right partners that are going to believe, like you said, Greg, believe in you and believe in the brand, and bringing those right people, those right customers together to make it happen. Because just having one, say, shark, or any one celebrity is not necessarily going to make or break the whole company, right? It's very much having the right people with the right vision, with the plan, is more important than just the money, or just the one celebrity endorsement. Not that Kevin's just bringing a celebrity endorsement to the table, but that's a big part of what he brings to the table, especially when you're talking about 5%.
No, it's okay. Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So how can everybody go and get their own SUNFLOW chair and accessories? And I assume to be more soon.
Yeah, we have a lot of new things coming in the pipeline, but our website is Get Sunflow. You'll have it, I guess, underneath us or something.
Yes, it will be in the description below.
GetSunflow.com.
Yeah. And our Instagram and Facebook, I mean, we're just a new company, but it's also Get Sunflow. So
yeah, follow us. We post beautiful photos, beautiful places in the world,
and
beautiful beaches.
We just did a partnership with Sports Illustrated Swimsuit. So we were at the launch, and we, kind of did a takeover of their launch weekend in Florida just this past weekend, which is pretty cool.
Takeover of all the seating.
Yeah.
Everyone sat in SUNFLOW chairs.
It was great.
Yes, at the Hard
Good
Rock.
content.
Yes. And an amazing, and Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition, having their Pay with Change programming, which is all about female empowerment, which is amazing, with female visionary for our product, and majority of our people are female, so it really aligns well with what we hope to accomplish. And yeah, so you can find us, you can see some of that content on our website, on Instagram, Facebook, and I guess on our website feed, right?
That is awesome. They should absolutely go and check it out. I love the keeping the naming concise. So you can say get SUNFLOW, and you can Google it. You can go to Instagram. You can go to Facebook. Whatever you're going, you can get it. And that is so important. So important to be able to get that same name across all the platforms. So it just makes it easier for people to connect with you the way they choose to. Greg, Super Leslie, thank you so much for being here. It's been an absolute pleasure hosting you here on the Tank Tales interview. Again, thank you so much.
One last thing. Why don't we put a little discount code for your watchers? A little bonus.
All right, we'll give it to you later, then. That's nice.
Well,
yes.
You want us to give that? You'll be able to post that for your.
I can. Yeah, I
yours?
can.
Okay, so we'll come up with a discount code, and that way people can, if they discover us on your show, they have a secret discount code.
Good bonus subscribers.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for wanting to do that. Yeah, let me. I'll get the discount code from you. I'll put it in the description below, or maybe I'll tag it in the comment, the first comment below as well. And thank you all for watching all the way to the end of this interview. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'll see you in one of these two videos right here. If you haven't watched SUNFLOW's pitch, it'll probably be up here or down here, or whatever I remember to do it. Anyway, take care and go be super.
Everyone, see you at the beach.
Thank you.